hard for me because my boyfriend and I of 6 years broke up, and it was because I was lost and confused, and I really didn't know what I wanted with my life anymore. And I always thought of myself as an independent person until I found myself sitting in our favorite diner crying because the person that's been there for the last 6 years is no longer in front of me. So I thought coming to the University of Scranton was going to be a really big change, and I get to see new faces, and everything was going to be great. Except within a week of school starting, I found myself in the counselor's office, already changing my major. I'm the only freshman I know that has changed major 3 times within the start of the school year. So I quickly realized that this is not where I'm supposed to be, and that I needed to make a change. And I kind of just, so I told myself that I was going to be like Elle Woods when Warner told her that she wasn't good enough to go into Harvard Law School, because most of my high school career, a lot of my friends knew me as like I was just the emotional mess all the time. I was always crying, the wind blew the wrong way, and I was just in tears. And I felt that we were pretty similar because we were both labeled and we were both told that we weren't good enough, or that we couldn't do something. And my friends always told me, they were like, when are you going to change? When is it going to happen? You always say you're going to change, but you never follow through with it. So I decided about 3 months ago that I was going to get out of the slump, and as I was doing some research, that's why I chose this topic. And I was tired of seeing life as a dark, scary cloud that was always hovering over me. And I always tried all these different things to try to get out of the slump, and it never really worked. I always ended up going back into that depression. And sorry. So I never really wanted it. I kind of wanted it, but I didn't fully want it. What I really wanted was to sit in my room and just take a nap, lock the doors, forget that I have any responsibilities, and that's just not the way that you should be living life. So I decided that I really needed to take control of my life, and the first thing was I really need to stop throwing a pity party, because I cried up and down about all my problems to people, and no one really wants to hear it. And they always say, there's that saying that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and I really never understood that until I was in that predicament where I had to figure out I can either fight and try to problem solve, or I can let it consume me, and I wasn't about to let all these problems consume me. So I decided that I was going to take control of my life. And this is really important because, if you're not in control, then who is? What's determining what you're going to do with your life? And I wasn't about to let that totally consume me. And I really didn't understand exactly how to do this, and I could never figure out how I'm supposed to put my life together. And someone actually suggested to me that I come up with 5 things that I do every day, and then 5 things that make me happy, and then compare and adjust accordingly. And when you look at this, every day I take a nap, I go to the gym, I do my homework, I sit on my phone for I don't even know how many hours, and then I take a nap 2 or 3 times sometime between that. And so then I look at the things that make me happy, and that's hanging out with my friends and volunteering, traveling, hiking, and spending time with my family. And the things that make you happy, if you look, are simple things that are achievable, and you look at it and you're like, well, that's kind of pathetic, why aren't you doing that? And it's really not that hard. So that was the biggest thing for me, is looking at that was kind of like that a wow moment that I really needed to fix what was going on. And I think one of the biggest impacts that I had on my life in this, my best friend Justin has tried committing suicide 3 times, except we've never been best friends. We just became best friends within the last 6 months maybe. He was in the hospital for his 3rd time, and I figured he needed a friend, and I needed that kind of support, someone who understood me. So that's how we became friends, and I decided that I wasn't going to let, he sees his fail at attempting suicide as a giant, it's just chaos and it's failure. And that's the only time I'll say that failure is good, because I'm glad that he's still here. But you know, you have to accept failure. You have to let it, like, you have to let it, you have to learn from it. You have to grow from it. And it's really hard too when you're kind of consumed in the past about what you could have done. And one of the hardest things for him is he always says, I can't do this, and I won't do this, I don't know how to. And I always tell him, like, you have to replace that with, I can and I will. And I think one of the hardest things for me to do is it's always a reminder. I always tell him, you will go back to school, you will get a job, you will get a family, our kids will grow up together because you will be there. And he always struggles with it because he's been going through it for so long, and he always says, well, how much longer do I have to wait? And I think the hardest thing for people to understand is the concept of time, and because time really does heal all. And you know, there's people that are just so impatient and they just want that immediate gratification. Like when I'm at the gym a couple weeks ago, there was a girl that came up to me and she was so discouraged because she's not losing weight and nothing's going the way that she wants it to. And you know, I kind of looked at it for a second. I'm like, you've been working out for a week. You can't work out one day and then expect to wake up and lose 10 pounds. It doesn't work that way. And when you're mentally strong, you have to get rid of that idea of that instant gratification. So, and kind of like that girl at the gym, this is like training your brain when you really have to have like that heart, that commitment, that dedication. And it's really hard. It's no one said it's easy. Ask anyone, like anyone who's lost a ton of weight, they've worked so hard for that. It's not easy. It never will be. And so, like I was talking about earlier with that dark and scary cloud, after, you know, trying with Justin and like helping him and helping myself, you know, that dark, scary cloud really wasn't as dark anymore. It actually kind of lightened up and the sun kind of shone through. And you know, I mean, after, even when you go home tonight, like if you're having like any sort of issue, like you should definitely try the list. But then don't stop there. Make a third list, and the third list basically is 5 reasons why you deserve that purpose and why you deserve to be happy. Because then it's really kind of a reminder of what you need to do to get there and that kind of that goal. And you know, you have to ask yourself, am I committed? Am I ready to do this? And you have to you can't just like kind of want it, like you have to completely want this more than anything to keep it going. So like I said, like if at all these steps, like they definitely do help. Like it's been a short amount of time, and I'm sure I have a long, you know, road ahead of me, and so does everyone else. But I definitely, just these small steps have made the biggest process, and it's really nice when I can wake up in the morning and I know that it's a good day, and I know that, you know, it's not that dark, scary clouds, and that there is sunshine. So, thank you.
Great job.